Welcome to The Game Case, a show for, well, anyone that plays World of Warcraft. The show rife with ramblings, tips, tricks, and goings-on in WoW. Here's your host, Chris Case.
Well, hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to episode 39 of The Game Case. I am Chris, also known as Cuddles, a brewmaster monk on Airy Peak in the Convert to Raid Guild. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about our week in gaming, cover some Blizzard news, and then we're going to talk a little bit about veteran players and their tendency to move in and out of the game over the years. Because this week I have the honor, nay, the pleasure of bringing on my very good friend, former monk, the amazing Mr. Terraburn. Terra, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
What's up, buddy? The pleasure's all mine. I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
I am doing really good, man. It's been got a little kid that's a little under the weather, but other than that, life is good.
Oh, good deal. That's too bad. I hope he gets better soon.
Yeah, they're kids, man. They're made out of rubber.
They're always sick. They're always sick, which means you're always sick, and then
Exactly. It's a horrible cycle. Kids are a blessing. But thank you.
Blessed.
I know, right? Thank you for taking some time out of your extremely full schedule. How was your week of life?
My week was pretty standard, grindy, go to work, go to the gym, come home, play video games, spend time with the dog, go to bed, do it all over again the next day. So, nothing exciting. Just living the American dream.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
So how about your week? How about your week in gaming?
My week in gaming has been pretty slow. I have not had a lot of time to do a whole lot of anything. I did get on Elite Dangerous for a little bit, just trying to make my way back from a system I flew out to kill some dudes, and coming back took me about a half an hour because the ship I'm driving does not jump very well. So that was pretty much the extent of it, unfortunately. Some weeks I just, how it is, you just don't have time to play a lot of games. Some weeks you do. So this is one of those weeks where it's, not a lot of time. But nonetheless, I still get a little bit of time in, and the weekend's coming, so I'll probably play a lot more this weekend.
Right on.
Yeah.
Now,
How about you? How was yours?
Well, it's been a slow week for me too.
Yeah.
I was out of town this weekend. I had my best friend's wedding, which was amazing, incredible, Hangover 2-esque experience. Nobody got a face tattoo, and everyone still has all their teeth, and he got married. So mazel tov.
What more can you ask for, really?
I know. It was really a good time. But outside of that, I did get to do a few things as an event planner in Convert to Raid. We had our guild's 3rd anniversary this week. Nice. So I got to do a really fun pet battle tournament. Erlina, who is in the chat room tonight, was actually in it. She placed 4th, so congratulations, Miss Erlina.
Congrats, Erlina. That's awesome.
I know. She walked home with a little bit of gold, and big congrats to Shinny Reaper, who won it and walked away with a $25 Blizzard store credit. So he'll be getting a mount or a pet or something
or a
cool.
Server transfer or something.
There you go. He gets something fun. Also, I got in a little bit of raid time with Rubber Chickens, which is always a good time. Nice to get back with those guys. And I missed my raid this weekend with Bacon and Kegs. And wouldn't you know it, we have been 12 of 13 since November. So I'm away for the weekend, and what happens?
They kill Archimond.
They got Archimond down. So a slightly salty congratulations to Bacon and Kegs. But no, like really and truly, I'm really happy for them, and
good job, guys.
I'm looking forward to getting back with them this weekend. Hopefully we have Archimond on farm. I can just walk in, knock him over, and get my mount now.
Free loots.
Exactly.
That's how I always play WoW. Just let everybody else do the hard stuff, and then I'll come in and sweep up the fat loots.
There you go. Just show up for the farm bosses.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, why do the work? Let someone else do it for you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to play WoW. Well, that's gonna bring us quite nicely into a little bit of Blizzard news. And now for news from all things Blizzard. So this week, we got 2 new characters in Heroes of the Storm. We got Zool and Li Ming. I think I'm saying both of those right.
Looks like it.
They have been announced. They're not actually released yet. Both of them look super, super cool. There's been a bunch of news coming out of Heroes. And rather than diving into that, because I'll be honest, I just kind of caught the tail end of it. I'm going to point everybody over to Stormcast. You guys have heard me talk about that a little bit on the show before. I actually had the host, or one of the hosts, Mr. Mick Montgomery, on my show a few episodes back. Go check out Stormcast. They had Dustin Brower, from Heroes on episode 80 of their show. They can tell you a whole lot more, and Dustin's going to tell you better than I ever will. So go check that out. I'll put a link to that show in the show notes, but if you're a Heroes fan, definitely check that out. The guys over at Stormcast and Spazbot Studios in general are doing great things.
I love their stuff.
Oh my gosh. And like, I want to pay Mick to read me bedtime stories. Like, I would just pay for that.
Like Morgan Freeman, just like have somebody with that voice just soothe you to sleep.
Yes, it would be wonderful. There's very few voices out there that I would want to do, and Mick's got one of them.
Mick's got one. Morgan Freeman, Duck Sauce has got that voice.
Yeah, Duck Sauce sounds phenomenal. Like it's funny. You look at people like that, and you look at their setups as a podcaster, and you're like, well, maybe if I get that mic, and maybe if I do this, and like, no, that's their voice, and that's you could put them in front of a Campbell soup can, and they would sound just about as good
with a string attached to it. No actual electronics.
Yeah,
the voice carries through nothing.
A string.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The voice of the golden voice of God. I think that man has.
Oh. So outside of that, there hasn't been a whole lot of Blizzard news. There's been some Legion stuff, a little bit of QQing about tri-specs and gold, and guys, go check out MMOC if you want to check that out. None of it's set in stone. That's why you won't hear a whole lot of alpha news from me. Once we get into beta, things get a little bit more concrete. We'll talk a little bit more about it here, but we're in alpha. There's places to find things out.
Don't you think though that it kind of feels like a beta with how complete the alpha seems?
Having never been in a Blizzard alpha, I think I would be happy playing the game the way it is right now.
Well, I can tell you from experience that just from like what I've seen in videos and streams and stuff like that of the Legion alpha, their alpha for Legion is further along, to me it seems, than some of their previous expansions betas have been. And
Really?
I've participated in a lot of those betas. So it seems to me like we've heard before, like, oh, we're so much further along in this cycle than we were the last cycle. We hear that every single cycle, that, they're further along and it's going to come faster and all that stuff. But I mean, just in terms of what I've seen, it definitely seems further along than previous cycles. So I don't know if that says anything, but
right on. Well, hopefully it says that they're gonna deliver on what they promised, because they promised us a lot.
And then they tend to do that. They do.
Well, the one thing that I can't compare WoW to previous alphas or betas because I wasn't around. But I can say, having been in both Heroes beta and the Overwatch, just the weekend, but the Overwatch weekend, both of those games, when I started playing Heroes in beta, which granted it was a little bit late in beta, I didn't know what they were still doing with the game. I was like, why is this game not out? And I kind of felt that way. I know Overwatch had balance issues and we want more maps and more things to do, but I would have paid $60 for Overwatch the weekend that I played it.
Yeah, Blizzard is fairly notorious, even amongst their critics, and I would lump myself into that category these days, but even amongst their critics, they're pretty notorious for having betas that most other game companies would consider launch ready.
Yeah.
So, for better or for worse, they definitely don't skimp on the time and the effort, the effort involved, and to make sure the game is really where it needs to be before it goes out. So
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm looking at alphas of like Star Citizen, for example, to speak to the space sim genre that you and I and so many of the rest of us are playing right now. I look at things like Star Citizen that's in alpha.
Yeah.
And that game is broken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just broken, which is fine. It's in alpha. So, that's kind of what it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I mean,
you're from your two experiences now. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just from your two experiences now that you've had, because I know you're fairly new to the Blizzard gaming family, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
Your two experiences you've had with Heroes and with Overwatch, you're already kind of conditioned to like, this is a beta. I'm ready to play this now. Like, I don't need any more work done to this. And then so you see Star Citizen and almost subconsciously you're like, what the heck are these people doing? This game is nowhere near ready. Like, why am I even looking at it right now? So you're already conditioned, and that speaks to what I was saying. Like, Blizzard has a tendency to really polish the heck out of their games before we actually see it in retail.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Coming up as a console gamer, I don't know what this is the first time that I'm getting involved in betas and alphas and
you don't get betas on console.
All these early release games on Steam that like games that have been in early release for 3+ years. DayZ, I'm looking at you. And like it's so weird to me, but so cool. Like what is it? H1Z1. I've been playing some of that. Yep. It's so cool to be involved in a game at that level. But yeah, just totally spoiled. Thanks, Blizz.
Yeah, right.
You've ruined me. It's your fault.
Blame Celestalon.
I totally blame Celestalon. It is him and his purple hair's fault.
Yep, I agree.
I love that hair, by the way.
Do you?
Like, I don't know how he keeps it so purple. If I could get his hair to have a baby with Lore's hair, and I could have it, I would totally be into it.
That's something like out of Willy Wonka.
Like a big curly purple fro. This is my big goal. I've talked about this a couple times. So Celestalon did Artemis Howell's hair last year.
Really? I didn't know that, actually.
Yes, he was the one that colored her hair green. So my goal is to get Lore to give me a perm before next BlizzCon. I don't actually think this is going to happen, but this is my should be left unspoken goal.
Considering what I experienced at BlizzCon with you at my side, to throw a purple afro on top of your head during those events, well worth the flight alone.
I know, right?
That for me would just that's the bar, dude. I don't know how you do better than that.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, let's why don't we just jump on in to the end? I'm gonna bail out. And now for the meat and potatoes.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so this week, you guys know in the meat and potatoes here, we kind of talk about something different, specific to whatever guest I have on the show. And since I have the honor of having Terra with me, a WoW veteran, I wanted to talk a little bit about how players tend to kind of dip in and out of WoW, which is something that I've never really seen. I mean, you have people that play this game for a few years and then they back off for a few months, and then they come back in. And I'm used to people playing a game and then they're done with it and let's move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. So Terra, how long have you been playing WoW?
I started playing WoW when there was a week left in the original open beta for, I gotta be careful if I say vanilla, Metzen might come for me in my sleep, classic WoW. So I think there was a break between the open beta for Classic and the actual launch of Classic of about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So about 2 to 3 weeks before launch is when I started playing, and I had been an on and off player ever since. So I've been here for the whole trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now what is it? Is there one specific thing that you feel like keeps you coming back to it? Like what is it that, why would you leave the game and then come back?
So what's funny is I when I actually was introduced to WoW, I was pretty staunchly against games like WoW. I was very judgmental of my friends who had played EverQuest and of EverQuest in general. I didn't see the appeal. I was a console gamer growing up, and then when I did get into PC games, it was Wolfenstein and Quake and Doom and Counter-Strike. And so I was an FPS gamer pretty much exclusively outside of consoles anytime a PC was involved. And then I got introduced to WoW, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll give it a shot. And something about it, man, from that first quest you turn in, I don't know how to explain it, but the first time you turn in that quest, maybe more even like the first time you level up, you know, the first time that you see that yellow light shine up, and you know, it, like now it has a big fancy thing that says like, oh, your level, blah, blah, blah. And in the past, it was just in the little chat box. You know, that's if you weren't paying attention, you'd be like, what, what happened? What, am I leveled? Did I level? Oh, okay. Yeah, I leveled. So something about that whole process, man, just, I mean, it was like, you know, drugs to a junkie. It just hooks you, you know, just something about this, just so satisfying to go through that process. And, that's how it got started. But as far as your original question, it's a mixture of things. Friends who would come and go. The new content, obviously, you know, you play for a while and then you step away, and then maybe you start sniffing around the fan sites like MMO Champ or, you know, Blizzard Watch now is what it's called, stuff like that. And then you're like, oh, well, what's happening? Who is Deathwing? Okay. What I get to do where? What? Okay. All right. And the next thing you know, you're resubbed and you're like getting ready for it. And boom, you know, it's just it's a slippery slope, man. All it takes is like just one little inkling of interest and you're done. You're just back in it full bore.
Now, let me ask you this. How long was it from original, to stop myself too, from original WoW? How long did you play straight through to the next X-Pack? When was your first real break from the game?
No, so that's what's funny about it is I have taken a break in some capacity, like a significant break. I wouldn't say like, oh, I haven't played for a couple weeks. That's a little break. It's not a huge break, you know, like where
that's like you didn't have time. Like, hey, I wanted to go. Like, Fallout 4 came out.
School got in the way, or family stuff, or new
girlfriend.
Whatever. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. I would say I probably took my first break sometime after I'd cleared on Courage, which was one of the very first raids in WoW. It was actually the third full 40-man raid that classic WoW had. And I probably took another 3 or 4 breaks before Burning Crusade finally came out. Wow. And and then so every expansion there would be this period where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I don't even care if I'm playing video games, period. I just do not want to play WoW right now. And I would walk away for a couple months, and then something new would come up, or I'd get really bored and just kind of dive back into it, and then I'd get hooked for a little bit. And you know, there's just this, and then every expansion, you know, it like clockwork, man. Every expansion they announce, I'm like, okay, we're playing WoW again. You know, it always sounds so good on paper, and then Warlords of Draenor happens.
Oh, now was Warlords? Was it your shortest like time period before a break?
No, actually, Cataclysm, I was super stoked about it. I really liked the ideas. I liked the zones, you know, underwater zone, desert zone. I liked all that. I liked the theme. I got in the game. I leveled to 85 during Cataclysm was the max level, and immediately tried random queuing for heroic dungeons, and within about a week I was done.
Oh,
so I maybe played Cataclysm at first for about a month. before I finally walked away from it. And
So
I
now-
thought, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That first random heroic queuing, was that like the first? So it was the first time that you could actually like hit H and like or hit whatever button. I don't even know if it's H. That might be wrong.
No, they
like hit
they
a button
introduced.
and
Yeah, no, they introduced that system in Wrath of Lich King.
okay.
Actually, at some point, I can't remember what patch that came with. It might have been the Ulduar patch, or it might have been a minor patch in between raid tiers. But the queuing system came in Wrath of the Lich King, and for better or for worse, it was there. And one of the problems I think one of the reasons that I ended up walking away at the time was because they had heard complaints at the end of Wrath of the Lich King that heroic dungeons in Wrath were very easy. Very easy. They were pretty much just kind of a sleepwalk through it. AoE tank everything, AoE DPS everything down. Nothing was really a challenge. So in typical, now it's typical Blizzard fashion, they kind of overcompensate for it, and they made them extremely difficult for anybody who wasn't in a coordinated pre-made group, basically. So you'll get these kind of opposite opinions, right? Where you have the group of people who had friends who were playing all the time together, and they would run heroic dungeons and Cataclysm, and they're like, this is great, it's difficult, there's challenges, blah blah blah. And then you've got the people like me who maybe their friends weren't on the same schedule, or they ended up leaving a big guild to be in a smaller guild or whatever, and you're queuing via the system, and it's miserable because nobody is used to having to CC anything or actually monitor health bars very closely or deal with threat, because at the time threat was still a thing. All of that, worry about area effects from bosses, environmental type things, even in dungeons. People weren't used to doing that because we kind of walked all the way through Wrath of the Lich King. So it was a pretty miserable experience, and it was enough for I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. It's too difficult.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now you're taking a break currently. You're currently on a bit of a break, yeah?
I like to call it leave without pay.
No, okay. You have to. I know what that means.
Yeah.
But now this wasn't exactly a voluntary Terraburn wants to walk away from the game, was it?
No. Okay. So I should preface this with I actually thought Warlords of Draenor, despite my criticisms of it to this point, was going to be the expansion that I played all the way through.
Yeah.
I thought that this was going to be the one that, even at least at a casual level, I was going to log in a couple times a week, do some stuff, and play all the way up until Legion came out. Because once Legion was announced, I was like, it looks awesome. I can't wait till it's back. I got all excited. But I thought I was going to play all the way through, but I didn't really know what to do with myself because I didn't have the time to dedicate to raiding, and I didn't, I was in a guild, but it wasn't really doing anything, and I don't know. So I was just kind of doing garrison dailies just to kind of make money, and I got bored of doing that, but didn't want to stop making money. So I kind of went back to an old habit, and I ended up finding a way to bot my garrison dailies. Bum, bum, bum. So I was botting my garrison dailies, which, if anybody doesn't understand what that means, there are programs out there that are called bots, and they will behave in the game for you. They will take care of things for you in the game, whether it's killing things or questing, profession grinding. Even some of them will do auction house work. Well, they'll just work the auction house all day and all or however long you want to run it for. And I was using one of these programs to just to do my garrison stuff. That's all I was using it for. I wasn't even using it for PvP. I had in the past, but in this case, it was just for garrison dailies. And I was running it, and everything was hunky dory as far as I was concerned. And then I got caught into Elite Dangerous. And I ended up not even logging into WoW during, even when I had downtime to do my garrison deal. I just wasn't playing at all. And then the ban wave came. And I get this email from Blizzard Entertainment, and it lets me know that I have now under a 6-month suspension for violating their terms of service. And I was like, oh, well, I knew what I was getting into. so I can't really be mad about it. And I wasn't logging in anyway, so it wasn't like I'm really missing anything. But there you go. So yeah, not a voluntary break necessarily.
So now, how far into the 6-month ban are we at this point?
Well, when did the ban wave go out? In like November, December, beginning of December?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you remember something like that? So,
That sounds about right.
we're about a month or a month and a half roughly into it. So I expect I can't log into the game again until May, maybe beginning of June, depending on the actual dates and how they line up.
So now, let me ask you this: do you plan on when the ban is lifted? Do you plan on logging back into WoW?
Yeah, I like the idea of things coming in Legion. It's funny, I said the exact same thing about Draenor. I'm cautiously optimistic, which is what I said about Draenor, and then my optimism was shattered into 1,000 pieces once everything was said and done. I think a lot of people are feeling have a bad taste in their mouth about garrisons and what that really did to the state of the game and the social aspect of it. I love new stuff. I love anything new. So when they said there was a new class, I was like, okay, cool. And you and I played a little bit together when we were at BlizzCon. We sat at the demo tables and played around with the Demon Hunters, and I was like, this is awesome. I love it. And there's a lot of cool features coming, so I will probably at least check it out, but I can't say I'm going to commit beyond that because I just don't know. It just depends on where things are at. I'm like super into Elite Dangerous right now, and with WoW, anybody who's played WoW a long time like I have will tell you that there is like this pull about WoW. Like when you're in it, you feel like you have to log in. You're gonna miss on something if you don't. If I don't log in, I'm gonna miss my dailies. If I don't log in, I'm gonna miss the raid. If I don't log in, I'm gonna miss my honor. If I don't log in, I'm gonna miss this thing on the auction house that is gonna screw up my owning the economy. If you're one of those H Baron kind of guys, you feel this pull to always be logging in whenever you can. With a game like Elite Dangerous, or really any other game at all, for the most part, there is none of that. And it's nice, if I'm just being completely honest here, it's nice to not have that tug on you. Like, man, I better log into WoW just in case. Like, you never know. You never know.
No. Okay, I have to ask you. You don't feel that in Elite?
No. Well, okay, so I did sort of for the first couple weeks.
Okay.
And then like we talked about at the top of the show, this week has been slow for me for games. It just I haven't set aside the time to really log on for very long. And I'll go through these periods where like video games and I are just not cool, for a while. Like we just don't do stuff together. We ain't talking. So no. It's just kind of, I think it's just as you get older, which I think could explain a little bit of at least some portion of the lull in subscriber numbers that Blizzard has seen over the years. As you get older, priorities change, and when you come home from an 8-hour shift and an hour and some change at the gym session, you just it might sound like it's relaxing, but maybe you don't want to have to rush through, walking the dog, getting dinner, getting showered, sitting down like, okay, I make the raid. Did I make the raid? Okay. Did I get a spot? I got a spot. Okay, good. You don't want to deal with all of that all the time. Sometimes you just want to come home and sit down and watch Netflix, you know? So I did feel a little bit of that tug with Elite in the beginning because it was new, but now I'm totally okay with not logging on to Elite for 3 or 4 or 5 days at a time, and then coming back and be like, oh yeah, let's go get some bounties done, or let's go see some cool stars or whatever.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I think you nailed something there. Navox has given you props for it. It is. It's like it's a monkey on your back. It's almost like this. Mm-hmm. Like I get a little twitchy if I haven't logged into WoW for a few days. Like it's legit a thing, because I'm like, okay, well, I have to raid this weekend, and you would think that's I only have to log in on a Saturday and Sunday, but no, it's not. I have to log in during the week. I have to go get some Valor. I gotta go to do my garrison tables. Oh my gosh, I missed the Blingtron mission. I missed out on 4,000 gold this week. Like,
think about the terminology you use too to describe what you're talking about. I have to raid this weekend. I have to. And if you tell somebody who doesn't understand, they're like, "What do you mean you have to? You're an adult. You don't have to do anything except pay taxes. You know, like you don't have to do it. What do you mean? It's a video game. You're like, no, you don't understand. There's people and they're relying on me to be there. And if I'm not there, I'm going to get in trouble. And then I'm not going to get a spot next week. And then I'm going to fall behind on loot. And it all sounds ridiculous when you're on the outside. But when you're in, you get it.
Oh, yeah. I
So,
never got it. Like I had friends that played WoW, and I used to relentlessly make fun of them for having to raid and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, like what you have to? And now as a tank on both of my raid teams, like I can't. There's times that if I didn't show up, we weren't raiding, and it's you cannot explain it until you've done it.
Yeah,
and I've never felt this way about a game. Like I've never had a game. Call of Duty never made me log in on Tuesday.
it's like you're talking about a woman. Like I've never felt this way about somebody before. And it's just
when we first met, and I looked into WoW's eyes, there was something there.
It was magic.
Special.
No, it was heroin. It was digital heroin, is what it was.
And you know what? That first hit was free. I did that
It
little
was.
trial.
It was, yeah. For the first 20 hits. You know, if you think about what I said earlier about that ding where the light goes up and it's like, hey, you leveled. That's a hit. That might as well be a hit on a pipe, man. And then the first 20 of them are free. And if you want more, you got to pay, baby.
Oh.
Granted, it's not very much. You know, I mean, $15 a month is, when you divide it up by so many hours spent per week. I mean, you're talking about that's the cheapest damn way to spend your free time I can think of, aside from sleeping. So, and if I can make a comment, I was thinking about while you were talking, it popped into my head that you were talking about getting on. You got to get on Saturday as a raid, and then this night as a raid. There was a paradigm shift at some point with WoW where raiding went from Friday nights and Saturday nights to weeknights, and I think it might go along with what happened with the crowd getting older, the player base getting older, and people getting out of college and getting jobs. And because I was 19 when the game came out, so that was about the age most people who were playing the game was, and they were in college. So the paradigm shift happened from like weekends to weeknights. So you tell people like I have to raid. You tell somebody I have to raid on a Tuesday night, most people don't care because most people aren't going out on a Tuesday night. But when you tell all your friends Friday night, like, no, man, I'm playing WoW. They don't get it. They're like, but it's Friday. You're like, yeah, but I have to be there. And it's a Friday. And it's just, and back then, man, it was 40 people, not 25 or 10, or it didn't even, scaling was not a thing. I mean, that was not even a thought in our minds, at least not mine, that was an option you were going to have. It was, if you didn't have 40, you were going in with a missing leg. You were, somebody was going to have to pick up that slack. And corralling 40 people, if you may have noticed it when they released MC again at the beginning of Draenor as like a nostalgia thing. I actually thought that was more of them saying, "Oh yeah, you guys want 40-man raiding back? Here you go. Let us know how you like it." It's herding cats, bro. It's really like you're trying to herd cats. It's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible thing to do. And I don't miss it one little bit.
Oh, that's funny. I had never even thought about that because we're about the same age, and I had heard about WoW when I was in college.
Yeah.
And made fun of my friends that were playing it. Because I think the only game that I was playing I think I was playing Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2 on like PlayStation.
Yo, classic
2. I think that was about it. Like we would sit around and do that. But if I cannot even imagine. I was at Florida State University. I can't imagine looking at my friends and going, "Oh, Friday night? No, I gotta go play a video game, man.
I got dragons to slay, bro. You don't understand. Ragnaros has risen, and he's coming for us, and he's got to die. You don't understand. And if I'm not there, I'm in big trouble." Like, what? Turn it off. Let's go drink. What are you doing? It's so funny. It's just, and like we talk about coming and going, and it's one of those things where when you're away from it for a while, you actually kind of get like so it's, God, I hate to keep using it, but it's so analogous to drugs.
Yeah.
It really is. Like there's this tug there. When you're I don't know if I use that word right. Analogous, is that the way you say it? Analogous.
I don't know. We're going to
Similar. We're going to go similar. We'll use a $2 word.
Nice.
It's so similar to drugs. But when you're outside, you kind of like, man, I'm ridiculous. What was I thinking? Look at all this time I wasted playing this dumb game. I could have been going out with my friends or spending time with my girlfriend or watching something, cool or whatever. And then a couple months later, you're like, no, I gotta raid. I can't do anything. I gotta raid. And just like, you're right back in it, man, like instantly. Oh. It's crazy.
It's funny for me, like right now, like raiding is like, I don't know if this is true of everyone, but as I've grown older, like, friends have come and gone. They moved away. Some of us have kids. Some of us don't. I have maybe, I don't know, two or three friends here in town that are like still in town that we still stay in touch that I could call up and go have a burger with.
Sure.
The rest of my friends are online. Like, I don't know if that's weird. I don't know if I'm that big of a nerd, but
no, man. I got some of my closest friends that I have to this day. I mean, there are people that I sort of keep in touch with that I grew up with or went to high school with or know from work even now that I am not as good of friends with as I am with people I met playing WoW. All those years ago. Whether it was in game or through the forums in some cases. Back when the forums were lively and people hung out and did stuff on them. Whereas now I think it's just a horrible mess of complaining. But yeah. But
and then complaining about complaining.
They're complaining about complaining, which is just it's Inception, really, is what it is. It's formception, and just circles of nothing. But yeah, I have a few people that I would consider. I look at it this way: I would invite them to my wedding before I would invite other people who I communicate with on a regular basis, or like that's not the way to say it. I see in person like on a regular basis versus. There are these people who I've never even met physically in real life, but we speak every day online in some capacity. And I would invite them to my wedding over these other people.
Yeah.
Because they're that good of friends. And it was because of WoW. So for all the criticisms and all the bad mouthing I do towards WoW and towards, Blizzard, most of it is with love, not all of it, but most of it. But I have to say thank you to some degree for that, because I would never have these people in my life if it weren't for that. So
right on. And you tapped on it a little bit before, but do you really like now having said that, do you think it's the friendships, or do you think it's the game, or is it just really a combination of both? I mean, would you come back to Legion if none of your friends played?
Well, I actually had to force myself into a group of people when Draenor launched. None of my friends were playing. None of the people I used to play with, and none of the people that I'm friends with in real life were playing at the time. And I don't think they are still, for the most part. So I had joined the Reddit has two guilds, that they're kind of like baby versions of CTR. They have a couple co-guilds that go along with it, but nowhere near what you guys are. And I had joined them because I was on Reddit all the time, and I thought, why not? It makes sense. And I kind of muscled my way into the group and ended up helping create the only really successful raid team for Draenor, at least all the way up until Hellfire Citadel dropped. Oh, so wow. If I really want to play, I will find a way to make whatever it is I want to do happen. In Legion, it seems like it's going to be very, solo friendly. It seems like there'll be a lot of things that you can do if you're just playing by yourself to occupy your time. And I'm a fan of the story. I'm into the lore. I can answer a fair bit of lore questions and talk about lore topics pretty easily and readily. So a lot of what's happening is interesting to me on that side. To answer your question about is it the people or the game, I remember during Classic, I had hit a rough patch in life where I had lost my job, was living at home, and didn't have really any money coming in, and I knew better than to ask my mom if she would pay for my WoW subscription. And I remember having to tell my raid team that I was not going to be able to play anymore, and I got pretty upset. I was pretty, for lack of a better word, heartbroken about it. And I remember one of the people that was on my raid team who I was good friends with during that period of time of the game, had told me, he's like, dude, I get it, man. It's the people. It's the people. You make these, you meet these people, and they become your friends in some capacity, and you look forward to talking to them every day and seeing them online, and raiding with them and accomplishing goals, and and then all of a sudden all that's going to be ripped away, and it's like what? No. No, it's so good because at the end of the day, it's just a game, but you form these bonds and these friendships with people, and it sounds ridiculous, coming from on the outside looking in, but for me, I've been able to form bonds and friendships with people. I mean, like you, for example, we met in a chat room about monks.
Yep.
And then since then we've hung out together in person and gone to BlizzCon and had a few spicy waters and
made some memories.
Made some memories. That's a good way to put it. And I never would have done that if it wasn't for WoW.
Yeah.
And going to BlizzCon, I had some thoughts about it as far as not being active in the community the way a lot of people are, and how I felt a little bit like an outsider, so to speak. But beyond that, it was a really great experience overall, and it was one that I would not have ever thought to take and go on a journey to if it wasn't for meeting you and the other people in the chat room that I met, when I was kind of floating in the river during this lull period in Warlords of Draenor and Mists of Pandaria and all that. So, it's legit. The people can pull you in and keep you there, even if the game is not what you want it to be. The people are enough to keep you wanting to play, overall.
Nice.
Yeah.
No. You mentioned BlizzCon and all of us monks hanging out. No,
Yeah.
you no longer actually even monk. Like I think I might have been the only one other than Hina in the house that was still a monk.
Yeah, I mained monk during Throne of Thunder in Mists of Pandaria.
Okay.
So it was at 5.2 or 5.3, I don't know, whatever, the troll raid that they had.
Yeah.
I made the monk then, and I played my monk a little bit in Draenor, but it was not what it was to me before. I tell you what, talk about pulls, man. Somehow, I don't know how, every time Death Knight just pulls me right back. Every time I think, I'm like, you know what, man, this expansion, I'm playing something else. I'm gonna play my Hunter again, because Hunter was my first ever character that I played in WoW, period. And so that one's always got a special place in my heart. But ever since Death Knight came on the scene, man, it just always finds a way to pull me back into it. Just pull me back right to the undead, nighty, dark, necro magic, whateverness of it. It's just something about it. It's just so much fun. There's just so much utility, and soloing old instances is a joke. I mean, you could practically sleep while you do it because it's just not hard on a Death Knight, and just you do good. Damn it, I don't know, man. It's just across the board. It's just such an enjoyable class. And Monk just at the time was not offering what I was looking for in a class to play. Oh. So yeah, I and even in Legion, man, I don't think, as cool as it looks and as all the good things I've heard from some of the more knowledgeable folks in that community, I don't think I'll be touching it again. Demon Hunter just looks too damn cool to pass up. Just the hyper mobility of it, and the jumping around all over the place, and the cool animations and the sounds and just all of it. It just, like I said, I like new stuff. Yep. I like anything something new comes along, I'm down to at least give it a shot. And this just looks like it's going to be so much fun. So I think that'll be the route I go in, if anything.
Right on. That's what, like, I am, like, I feel like I am a monk. Like, that's, like the tubby furry guy that throws beer around, like, that kind of sounds like me. Like, that's,
I have pictures to prove it, in fact.
Exactly.
So,
But it's Demon Hunter that I gotta get it back in alpha, and I gotta try out that Vengeance spec, because I know it's in there. I haven't touched it yet. I want to see what that Demon Hunter tank is like.
Yeah, I don't like tanking.
Oh, see,
or
that's
healing. I'm a lifer DPS, and I would probably be doing myself a huge favor in that regard if I just went pure DPS and never looked back. because then I wouldn't have somebody going, well, why aren't you working on your second spec? Why don't you have a tank spec ready or a healing spec ready? You should, if you want to be like, I don't want to do that. I don't enjoy that role. I like doing damage. I like dealing damage. I like, it sounds, I hate saying this because I've yelled at people for it before, but I like competing with other players on meters. I know that's horrible to say as a raider, because that should be the least of your concerns.
But that is what everyone does.
But that's what, like if we're being honest with each other, like and everybody else, that's what everybody's doing. Even if they don't say anything, they're looking at the mirrors going, shit, like what did I do wrong? Like, okay, I'm gonna go look over my logs. I gotta figure out what I did wrong. Where can I improve? How do I get better? I gotta be better than so and so. Even it's even a healthy way to keep yourself playing, because maybe you develop a rivalry with somebody else who's a DPS, and you decide, I got this tier. I'm owning this tier. This dude is going down. This tier is mine. The changes that they made to the class are solid, and this guy is going down. And it has its own little competitiveness to it. And there's just so much responsibility with tanking and healing that I don't have the attention span for it. Just not for me.
Oh, see, I don't know. There's something, I think it's LeBlue from Monk Meditation has put it very well, like a few times. It's a total like ego trip. Like it is. If we're gonna sit here and be honest with each other, it's like it's kind of like an ego trip. It being like Navox mentioned it earlier, being a tank and having to be responsible for those 20 other people. Like that's he's talking about showing up, but the tank dies, and like you can have a DPS die, you can have a healer die, you have a tank die.
That's it.
It's pretty much game over with a few exceptions. There's always one tank dying always gives the other tank that chance to be the heroic savior. Like I can remember a moment with Socrathar where everyone died and I was still in the suit and did the last little bit of it. Like that was so cool. And I know, like, I guess you could do that with a DPS. Like you could kite a boss around, and like
I have on my hunter, I have kited a boss to it's the health meter shows 0%, but maybe there's actually like 50,000-60,000 health left, and at a time where doing 3,000 DPS or 5,000 DPS is good. This is like in the Wrath days. I have kited bosses to finish the fight, and been the victor, been the savior of the raid, because everybody else died. It was gonna be a wipe. It was the umpteenth wipe of the night on a boss that should have been dead 3 weeks ago, but for whatever reason we just suck. And then boom, lucky, everybody dies, and you're at the other end of the room, and it's like, okay, go time, and you just focused up and bam, got the kill. And so I totally get where you're coming from, man. It's a rare thing.
You want to talk about a drug? Oh man, like that's I don't even know what drug to compare that to, but it's that one that you only get every now and again. You can't afford it every week, and
there's got to be a good analogy for that.
I don't know it. It's like the blue meth. Is that I don't know if that's it.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like Breaking Bad. They have he has like the really good. He has the really good meth, and it's blue because it's so.
I've never watched Breaking Bad. I know. I'm sorry.
Stop. All right, guys. Show's over. Terra has to go watch Breaking Bad.
Sorry, guys.
You need to watch that. That's a great show. And you know what? I think this is a great time to jump right on in to a little bit of shout outs. And now it's time for shout outs.
All right, yeah, come on. Whoa, I mean, not come on, but yeah.
So before we jump right into shout outs, I did have one thing that I wanted to mention. And that is the Central Florida meetup, guys. This weekend, not only will Terraburn be there, so you can meet the guy behind the camera on the screen. It's your chair. I don't know where I was going with this, but you can meet Terraburn. You can meet me, Cuddles. Navox is going to be there. Belschnickel is going to be there. Marissa CTR is going to be there. All sorts of wonderful and amazing folks. I think last time I looked, we had about 12, maybe 15 people RSVP'd, and I know of another like 9 that are definitely coming that haven't bothered to RSVP yet.
And maybe there might be one or two old school CTR people that might be there from what I hear.
Oh.
So
How do you I'm planning this thing and you got knowledge like what is this?
I got people, bro.
Oh, he's got
I got
people.
ways. I got ways.
I threw a link in the chat room, bit.ly/CTRFL meet. That's MEET, not like what we'll be eating. But we are going to be meeting at a German restaurant called Mr. Dunderback's. It's in the, I guess, the USF area of Tampa.
Yeah, Bruce B. Downs, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's around USF, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's like a college like staple, and if you've ever been to a college town or been to college yourself, and you know like that restaurant that everybody loves that you had to go to, like Dunderback's is that for USF. It's wonderful, it's amazing. It's been around since like 76, I think. German food, plenty of beer. It is going to be a blast.
I hear good things. I've never been myself. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never been, but I hear really good things.
Oh, I just found about it maybe 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard about it from USF friends, but like when do I drive over to Tampa to go eat? And I finally I've started going after the Renaissance Festival. And it's because if you want to be like kind of blend in and be accepted when you're in like Renaissance Festival, like get up, go to a German restaurant because there's people in lederhosen. And most everybody's drunk. So
if you're into German food, and anybody who might also be local to us, I went to the Hofbrauhaus in St. Petersburg. Yeah. It's a northern chain, but they put a location in downtown St. Petersburg, and it was awesome. Good food, good beer. They did the whole polka music and the whole nine, man. It was pretty cool. I dug it.
We should do like a Central Florida restaurant podcast. Like
I am so down.
Like we don't even need to podcast. We should just go eat at different places every week.
Oh, so just dinner then is what?
Yeah, but
you just want to have dinner.
If we do it as a podcast, then we have to do it each week.
Can we expense it then?
I feel like it's tax deductible at that point. We do a Patreon.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
we do a Patreon, and people can give us tips for our tips.
Listen to nerds talk about food.
Nerd Grub? Geek Grub?
Geek Grub. There you go. Done. Register that domain.
Grubbing with Geeks.
Grubbing with Geeks. That one's good too.
Navox is in too.
Look at that.
Give me a second. I gotta go over to Go. While I'm going to GoDaddy right now, do you have any shout outs, Terra?
Yeah, sure. I just want to I'll shout out the piratically incorrect. Or is it piratically correct? Sorry, piratically correct guys. That's our group of dudes that play Elite Dangerous, and we'll be playing Star Citizen when that comes out. And you got Ducros and Zuvius and Shark and Ro and Kalani's in there and Kalisto and you and me and just all those guys. Those are my work grind dudes, and we hang out and chit chat and BS about all sorts of things. And I want to shout out to you for having me on the show, and just because it'll give me brownie points, I want to shout out my beautiful girlfriend who's watching.
Oh,
I love you.
Oh, was that for me or her?
Porque no los dos.
Yes.
See.
Oh no, I'm very excited. I've heard quite a lot about your beautiful girlfriend. So in our like Terra said, we sit in a IRC chat during the day. That's kind of a splinter group of a other IRC chat that we were members of, which we all still sit in. And it's funny. I wonder who's actually doing work during the day, because we always get in these heated, amazing conversations about the most random things from politics to video games to I don't know. Like there
was a conversation about there was a conversation about politics and CGI in Star Trek series from like of late, like DS9 and Babylon 5, and I'm like, what? Could we possibly be more stereotypical nerds? Like, and I wasn't even participating, and I felt like a huge nerd, just like sitting there watching it happen. It's just just all over the place and nuts, man. But everybody's cool. We have a good time in there, man.
Right on. So I will also shout out to those guys. Also to the brave commanders in Elite Dangerous, Mr. Ducros, first and foremost, among them that are on the distant world voyage right now. Elite Dangerous, quick little summary, what I actually mean by that. Elite Dangerous is a one-off representation of the Milky Way galaxy. Mr. Ducros is
we best know it.
Yes.
'Cause you don't want people going in there thinking that like they're gonna stumble on some double binary star and be like, "This is out there." Like, well, maybe we think so. Like, probably, maybe not, but probably, maybe.
So
I had to clarify.
It got really nerdy in here. So Duke is taking the next 3 months and heading out to the far edge of the galaxy in this game. And I don't mean 3 months in game. I mean, he's taking the next 3 months of his life.
Literal 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, we're in January, so he won't be done until April.
Yeah. And then when he's done, he has 3 months to come back, but he's not coming back this quick way. He's going around the edge of the galaxy to the other side.
Oh, of course. Why would you do it any other way?
Exactly. So he's probably for the next 9 months, he's playing this game within a game that we'll never see him, and we will never know like at all what it's like.
And he wanted us to come along.
Yeah. No. So,
I love you, Duke, but that
yeah.
That to me that'd be like driving out to, I don't know, name a horrible state to drive out to. You know, just like BFE somewhere. Indiana. I hear Indiana's not great.
Oh,
but,
I have family in Indiana.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm almost from Indiana. I was born like 30 miles from the Indiana border. I'm Indiana.
Yeah, I don't know. I all I know is that it's so far out, and it's so
like he won't see other people.
Like he won't even. There's not even stations out there. Like in the game, for those who don't know, in Elite Dangerous, there is what's known as civilized space, and there's uncivilized space. Civilized space is within the bubble, and in the bubble, most systems have a station of some kind in them. A space station that you can dock at, refuel, buy stuff to sell, or re-up your weapons, whatever whatever the case may be. Once you get outside of the bubble, as they call it, there are no space stations. There is nobody. There is only space. There are only astral bodies, stars and planets and asteroid belts and nonsense. And it's empty and it's depressing. And at the same time, it's very cool to think that that is potentially what is out there, in in the galaxy we occupy. But it's very, very far out there, and you're pretty much committing to just like not seeing anybody again while you're playing a game that is kind of meant to be social.
Now, you're playing alone in an MMO.
Yeah.
And I will compare it to the gentleman that leveled up his panda entirely by herbing. And
yeah, there you go.
Never left the turtle.
But even he would see other people.
Yeah, there was other people running around.
There were other people there.
But he
was
playing his own game though. I guess that's how I'm comparing it.
Oh, okay.
Like he was not playing the same game that you were logging in to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Duke, all the other brave commanders out there on the oh gosh, now I totally forgot the name of it.
Distant World
Expedition. Also to Bacon and Kegs, guys, big shout outs for downing Archimon. Let's put him on farm. I want my moose. Of course, Terra for coming on. Man, I appreciate you. Glad I could pop
pleasure,
your
man.
live show cherry.
Yeah.
So now you've done it. Now,
I had a good time. Yeah. If I can add to the shout outs, I wanted to shout out CTR and Pat for what you guys do, man. I never, in all my, to like kind of the overall theme of the episode was to be about veterans. In all of my years of playing the game, I never would have thought that we could get to a point, especially with the game kind of being in a lull subscriber numbers wise and, the satisfaction of the player base and that sort of thing. I never thought we could get to a point where there would be a guild that has that many members, that many people playing all the time, and has that much of an influence on the community as they do. And I just think that's so cool, like I never in all the time I play in WoW, I never would have expected that to happen. And so it's cool to see that. So shout out to Pat for, kicking that off, and shout out to you guys for continuing to be a nice place for new players and veteran players alike to find a place to call home. And who knows, maybe when my suspension is up, maybe I might come a knocking and seeing if you've got a spot for me. We'll see.
We'll always have a spot for you over on Airy Peak US, my friend.
You say that until it's like, oh, that's cool. He's the botting guy. No. Nope. We don't want that.
Can't let the botting guy in.
Oh, what's that? You have a felony charge? No, you can't. No, you don't get that job.
No background checks. Not in Azeroth or in real life for CTR.
Are there P tests?
You're good. Yeah, occasionally.
Damn it.
I don't know.
Really?
Navox keeps on making me. I don't know if that's an official thing. Or
you might want to talk to somebody about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one last shout out for me to Squinty Eyes, a gentleman that I met just a few weeks ago over at a Hearthstone gathering in Orlando. He and I were able to have dinner or lunch a couple days ago in Kissimmee. Had a great time, had a blast. It's so cool to meet people through this stuff and then actually make like real friends.
Totally.
So guys, this brings me to the point of the show where I get down on my virtual knees and I beg you and I plead you to leave these all important 5-star iTunes reviews for the Game Case show. Now, if you don't like the show, if you didn't like this, if you think that I ramble and we talked way too much about space games, remember, leave 2 stars for Let Me Tell You About the Good Old Days, a podcast full of vanilla wowers reminiscing about olden times.
It was so much better. You don't understand.
But if you like the show, it is called The Game Case Show over on iTunes. Like us, thumbs up, 5 stars, all those things. You know what to do in the places. But speaking of the places, Terra, where are the places that people could find you on the internet?
You could find me most likely on Twitter. I'm at Terraburn. That's TerraBurn. And I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Terraburn. There's not too much WoW stuff on there. There's a couple of kill videos from Draenor that I did, that I recorded and edited myself. It's mostly littered with me lifting weights. Not very greatly. Not doing the best job or moving that much weight. It's not very impressive, and I'm pretty chubby in a lot of them. But nonetheless, they're there, and for better or for worse, there they are. So, that's where you can find me: Twitter and YouTube.
Nice. Well, you have you been dabbling in Twitch? Do you want to even mention that?
Oh yeah, you're right. You know what? I didn't even think about that. I have I've been dabbling in streaming a little bit. Elite Dangerous, almost not exclusively Elite Dangerous. I streamed a lot during the holiday breaks. There was much bounty hunting and much Christmas music. I didn't really have any
Christmas music.
All the Christmas music, bro. I didn't really have a whole lot of people come by, but that's cool. I still had fun. So if you want to catch me on Twitch, if I might happen to be on, twitch.tv/Terraburn is my channel. I try to keep it uniformed on all the different platforms. So
right on.
There you go.
Right on. I'm like 18 different people on the internet, and I don't. That's
hey man,
just the way
that's how you got to keep the man guessing.
Exactly.
They got you, and then bam.
The man's trying hard to hold me down.
I know. Us white people, we got it rough. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
All right, let's not get political.
Yeah, let's back away from that. So that's gonna do it for episode 39. If you'd like to join our live audience and hang out in the chat room like Navox, Airlina, Drazem, Miss Noid, Tiber, and Tubstout did tonight.
Dude, you can't forget about 0PT1PL3X.
Oh, yes, and Optiplex, and also Rub My Nipples with Mayo. Thanks for stopping by. I somehow think that might have been just someone trolling. Although, if not, if I know you, great Twitch name. And thank you for making me say that on the internet now.
If they had been in BlizzCon, it'd be so appropriate.
I know, right? So join us on twitch.tv/thegamecase each and every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for listening to episode 39 of The Game Case. You can find me on Twitter at Mullet863. You can find the show at The Game Case Show. You can download us on iTunes and Stitcher, catch recordings of the live show or our tips, tricks, and kill videos at youtube.com/thegamecase, or you can just find all the things on the official site of The Game Case Show, thegamecase.com. I think that does it for tonight. Terra, say bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Game Case out.
Thank you for joining us this week inside The Game Case. Please join us next week for more news, tips, and ramblings about the world of Warcraft. Game Case out.
World of the Warcraft.